Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you're a homeowner over 50 in Chicago or the south suburbs, you already know that listing your home is a huge life step. You usually launch with fresh photos, a bustling open house, and honestly, just a whole lot of optimism. But what happens when the weeks start ticking by, showing slow to an absolute trickle, and your home is just sitting there? Well, let's dive right in and figure out exactly what's going on, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Are you watching those days on the market just climb? I know exactly how heavy that feels. We aren't just talking about selling a building here. We're talking about a place that might hold 40 years of incredible memories. Or maybe the sale is tied to a much bigger life transition, like downsizing to something easier to manage or moving closer to the grandkids. Watching a listing grow stale adds a massive amount of stress to what's already a really emotional time.
But listen, before we go a single step further, I need you to take this to heart. A stale listing is not a personal failure. It rarely means there's something fundamentally wrong with your house, and it definitely doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Buyers move through the market for a million different external reasons. So take a deep breath. A slow start is simply a signal, and we're going to learn how to read it.
Okay, let's get to the empowering part. Almost every single stall listing boils down to three highly fixable factors: price, presentation, and timing. That's literally it. You don't need to panic. You just need to see your listing like a giant puzzle and realize that one of these three pieces just needs a tiny adjustment to make the whole picture snap into place. Let's break them down.
Let's start with factor one, the price. We're kicking things off here because it's by far the most common reason a home sits unsold. Actually, in a HomeLight survey of top agents across the country, a whopping 77% named overpricing as the #1 mistake behind an unsold home. Buyers are savvy. They compare your new listing to everything else on the market within the very first few days. If your price feels even a little off compared to similar homes you buy, a lot of buyers will just skip it. They won't even walk through the door. And what's really wild is how overpricing actually happens, because it's almost never intentional. Sellers often anchor their hopes to a number a neighbor got 3 years ago, or they rely on some generic online estimate. But the market in Chicago and the south suburbs shifts literally block by block and month to month. Trusting an outdated online estimate instead of current local Illinois realtors data is just asking for trouble. A price that crushed it last spring, it might completely flop today. But here's the crucial point. You can fix this, and the fix is rarely dramatic. A thoughtful price adjustment, one actually guided by recent comparable sales instead of guesswork, often reopens the door. It sends a clear signal to the market that you're serious. And those buyers who already ruled your home out, they'll often come back for a second look. Just a quick word of caution, though. Waiting too long to make that move usually means your eventual correction will have to be a lot steeper.
Moving right along to factor two, presentation and first impressions.
Because once the price actually gets a buyer to the front door, what they see inside completely dictates whether they write an offer. Data from the National Association of Realtors shows just how massive this is. 83% of buyer's agents say that staging makes it easier for buyers to picture themselves living in the home. 83%. If someone walks in and the space feels cluttered, a bit dated, or just heavily personalized with your family's history, they can't visualize their future. They only see your past, and that quietly pushes them right to the next listing on their phone.
But here's the great news. You absolutely do not need to gut renovate your kitchen to fix this. Really simple presentation tweaks, like clearing off personal photos, opening up walking paths just by shifting a bulky sofa, freshening up a tired lawn, or literally just sweeping a neglected front porch, go an incredibly long way. Buyers are forming their impression before they even turn the doorknob. These low-effort, high-impact fixes totally change how a buyer feels about your entire property.
All right, that brings us to factor three, timing and local market trends.
Sometimes your house is priced to absolute perfection. It looks like a magazine cover and crickets. It still just sits. That's because local context is everything. Broad national housing headlines on the evening news rarely capture what's going on down your specific street. For instance, a neighborhood in Flossmoor might be moving briskly with bidding wars, while a practically identical street right next door in Homewood sees a sudden glut of competition that exact same month. Local, block-level knowledge is the name of the game. A slow start might not be about your house at all. It might just be the specific week you decided to launch. You also got to remember that buyers are dealing with their own external pressures. Interest rates might suddenly tick up, causing people to hit the brakes. The school calendar heavily dictates when families are willing to pack up and move. Or, hey, maybe a highly anticipated new listing just hit the market down the block and temporarily stole all your thunder. These are outside factors completely out of your control and totally unrelated to the quality of your home. So, if your listing has been active for several weeks with barely any movement, it's time to pause and ask yourself a really crucial question. Has the showing feedback pointed to a specific concern? Are 3 different buyers mentioning the same dark hallway? Is everyone hinting that the price feels just a tad too high compared to the neighbor's house that just sold? Or has your listing simply been up for so long that it's just lost its online visibility?
Honest feedback is like a roadmap. It tells you exactly how to regroup. So here are your strategic moves. First, you might need that thoughtful price adjustment we talked about earlier. Second, maybe you take a short breather off the market to freshen up the photos or restage that one room buyers keep getting hung up on. Or third, your absolute best move might be relisting altogether to reset your days on market and trigger fresh alerts for all those buyers browsing online. You've got concrete strategic options here.
Now, believe it or not, there's actually a silver lining to all this. Extra time on the market can literally bring you the exact right buyer. It sounds crazy, right? But a longer timeline might perfectly align with a buyer's sudden job relocation, a change in their financing, or their apartment lease finally ending. Seriously, some of the strongest offers come from buyers who were quietly watching a listing for weeks before they were finally in a position to act.
And hey, navigating all of this data and emotion isn't something you have to do alone. You should really consider tapping into an SRES. That's a seniors real estate specialist. This is a real estate professional trained specifically to help homeowners over 50 read these market signals clearly, objectively, and completely free of pressure. Having a true expert decode the local trends makes an emotional transition so much more manageable. Let's look at a really simple way to check these 3 factors yourself. You can run through this practical little exercise right now, today, without even leaving your house. Step 1, check your comps. But look specifically at homes that have sold in the last 60 days, not the ones still sitting unsold. Does your price line up? Step 2, walk through your home room by room, but try to look at it like a total stranger. Is it a bit cluttered? Is it hard to picture someone else living there? Step 3, consider the timing. Did you launch during a natural lull, like a holiday week or a deep winter freeze? Once you look through this specific lens, one of those 3 factors is almost guaranteed to jump out at you. Ultimately, patience paired with the right adjustments beats panic, every single time. A home sitting on the market for 2 months is not a failure. It is just a signal that one piece of the puzzle needs a second look. The vast majority of homes that sit for a while do eventually sell, and often it happens very shortly after one honest, data-driven adjustment finally lines everything up.
So, are you ready to explore your next move with absolute confidence? Because you really can take control of this process. I highly encourage you to head over and utilize the free resource library and the Homeowners 50+ page for practical guides on navigating your later life housing transition. Please don't let a stalled listing keep you from your next great chapter. Review those 3 factors, understand the local data, and make your move. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Now, looking around your own home, what's the very first adjustment you're going to make?